And thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. We have a great schedule planned for you with our first guest speaker, Teresa Thompson from the Upstate Warrior Solution. And I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't start by introducing myself. I'm Angie Gossett, and I am the 10 at the Top Board of Directors Marketing Chair. I work for Blue Choice Health Plan, and I am located here in the Upstate, although I'm all over the state traveling for work. So I'm glad to be able to join everybody today. So back to our agenda, we've got Teresa Thompson from the Upstate Warrior Solution, who's going to give us some great updates about the Upstate Warrior Solution, as well as the new Veteran Center. We have Kelly McWhorter from Discover Greenwood, who's also going to be giving us some updates about what's going on in Greenwood and some exciting things that are happening there. And Melissa Cheek with Goodwill Mission Mobile, who is also going to be providing some great updates on what's going on in their neck of the woods. So with that, I will turn it over to Teresa and let you get going.
Thank you, Angie. I appreciate it. I'm going to share a PowerPoint, which normally I'm not a PowerPoint person. However, I have some videos and I have some pictures because I think that makes it a little more interactive and just paints a better picture for who we are and the services that we provide to Upstate Warrior Solution. I know some people on this call are familiar with us. Some people aren't, but we have found that a lot of times, even when people are familiar with us, they're still not exactly sure of what we do and who we serve and the services that we provide. So I always like to give a rundown of that pretty quickly. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I'll be able to share that because I'm in a weird. I'm not sure it's letting me share at the moment. Let me open it a different way. Let me share my screen. Find it first off. There we go. All right, can everybody see that screen?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
thinking about
Good,
it.
good,
Yes,
great.
we have it.
Good, thank you. So just Upstate Warrior Solution, I think something new for folks that I'm going to talk about in just a minute that some people don't know is that in 2022, we started serving first responders as well. So that includes police, fire, and EMS. So all the services that we provide to veterans and their families, we also provide now to first responders. And I'll get a little more into that in a minute. So I just wanted to give everybody a snapshot because some people don't understand the amount of veterans who live in South Carolina. We're about 10% veteran in the state of South Carolina, and that's a big deal. South Carolina is very supportive of veterans and first responders. That's one of the things we always say at Upstate Warrior Solution is we are South Carolina. So whenever we talk to any legislators about anything, or we're trying to sell our mission, it's always we are South Carolina. We are a very military supportive, first responder supportive state. So as you can see, there's about
Teresa.
Yeah.
Before you move forward, it does not look like you have it in the display mode. So we're only seeing the first screen.
Oh. Okay. I am not sure why it is
If you
doing
go down, yeah.
I am not sure why it's doing that. I may have to do it from there. Can you see that screen?
We're on.
We can see the first slide. That's and then the others are on the side. Justine, can you help her?
Yeah, can you, Justine?
Try on the top left from beginning and see if that works. And if we get desperate, I can always share it from mine too.
Yeah, we may have to do that. Can you do that for me, Justine?
Absolutely.
I absolutely hate doing that because then you have to say next. And
No
I'm so
biggie.
sorry, but to speed it up a little bit.
No biggie. All right. If you unshare, I will share what I've got here.
Actually, before you do that, if you look on your screen, Teresa, do you see use presenter view? The checkbox, uncheck that and see if that helps.
Did that help? Did that
Now,
help?
now try from the beginning and see if,
I am so sorry, you guys. This is really.
yeah, it does not seem to be doing it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Justine, why don't you
Yeah.
share?
Well, that's just a day of a life in Upstate Water Solutions, just to give you guys an example of what we deal with over here. It's just kind of go with the flow type of thing. So
That's how we do it.
Yeah. I mean, that is really how we do it over here at Upstate Water Solutions. Stuff happens and you just keep on.
All righty.
All right. If you'll go to the second slide so people can see what I was talking about there. So that gives you a little bit of a snapshot what I was talking about, the 402,000. About 100,000 of those are in the upstate of South Carolina. The five, particularly in the 5 counties that we service, which is Anderson, Greenville, Spartanburg, Pickens, and Oconee. However, we are now serving Union and Cherokee, and we are moving into Lawrence and Greenwood. Our team does not say no to anybody who comes to us. So we have people that come to us from Myrtle Beach, and we don't want to turn any veteran away, so we'll try to connect them. I saw that people from SCDVA are on here, and so that is one of our partners. We will reach out to them around the state and say, hey, we're not in Myrtle Beach. Can you have one of your team members reach out to them to see if they can better assist them? So if you go to the next slide, our mission is pretty simple. Is to find and connect with veterans, first responders. That is one big thing. I think people understand that about Upstate Water Solutions. And the other thing is we try to build our community's capacity to serve our veterans and first responders. So we spend a great deal of time going to partners, businesses, corporations, healthcare systems, and detention centers saying, hey, this is what we're seeing in the veteran community and how can you help us? And then we help them better serve the people that they're dealing with. That's about 50% of what we do at Upstate Water Solutions. And we do that because it helps the veteran, but it also helps expand our efforts in the community. And we realized that early on that we can't do it alone. One of the things I added at the end is pretty important that we've been doing is we identify those gaps in service and then we increase resources from there. So we will see a gap and we'll go, wow, that's a need for our veterans or first responders. And then our team will go out and try to figure out how to fill that gap, whether it's meeting a new partner, creating a new program, whatever it is we need to do to fill that gap. I put the next 2 slides in just because I think this is important. And I know this seems kind of trivial to folks, but this is just for people who want to identify veterans in the community and want to be a part of what is the Upstate Water Solution, what we do every day. You look at that picture, that first picture, and that's what everybody sees as veterans. That's what they're easy to, because you're like the military is easy, but when they get out in the community, you can't really spot them anymore. So you have to be extremely proactive to try to find them because they don't stand out to you. There are police officers, they're legislators, they're healthcare workers, and they don't always tell you that they're a veteran. So you have to be pretty prescriptive in how you talk to them and ask them. A quick organizational overview. Just to let you guys know, that's the next slide. We've been around since about 2012, 501c3. We've grown a little bit just because, as I said earlier, we've added some programs that we have felt were very necessary to what we do for our community. Just gives you a mixture. We are not an all veteran organization, and we do that by design. We like diversity of thought, which means you have to get people from different areas to be a part of your organization. So we have a mixture of veterans, veteran spouses, retired law enforcement. I am not a veteran. I am a prior law enforcement from Greenville City. So I've been here since about 2014 with this organization. And then we have a number of civilians that we bring in as well. And those are our offices. The next slide talks about, I just want to give you guys a snapshot. This talks about some of our programs. But in 2022, we served over 1,300 veterans. And that's a lot for the amount of staff that we have. That's a lot of casework. That's a lot of social work. That's a lot of connections being made. We serve 204 family members and 16 first responders. And those programs at the bottom are kind of our bread and butter of what we do, but we do a lot of things in between. We've increased some areas of basic need with some grant funding that we've received through like TD, Housing for Everyone, some Bob Woodruff funds and some others, but transportation, benefits, workforce development is huge. Our Justice Involved Veteran Program is huge. We have about 50 veterans a month coming through the Greenville Detention Center alone. And we have access to all the detention centers across the upstate. So we're visiting, talking to veterans who've been arrested, incarcerated, just trying to figure out some of the life issues that got them there. We're not there to give them legal advice or provide legal aid, but we are there to try to connect them to any of those resources just to prevent recidivism in the future. The next slide is just a quick snapshot because I wanted to paint the bigger picture. We've connected to over 9,400 veterans, and this, you know, all time, we've been around since 2012, but we had full-time staff 2014, 2015. So this is really about January 2015 on. We've connected to that many veterans, family members, and first responders. I added a PIT number count on there because I thought you guys might be interested in that. I feel like, I'll say it that way, that people think there's a lot more homeless veterans out there than there actually are. And that's because some people claim to be veterans and they're not. And we know that for sure, especially now because we use a program called Square, so we can easily identify quickly as we're talking to people real time, whether or not, before we had to rely on DD-214s and the such. But there were about 98 veterans. Of course, you can't capture all of them because it's a 2-day thing. So there's issues with those numbers, but the numbers really, I think, are not as high as people think they are. The next slide just talks about our services again, and I'm not going to cover these again. And the reason I put them in here is in case somebody wanted this later. It lays it out a little differently than the first slide did. So it talks about the types of things that we connect or help veterans with. I will tell you, one of the first things we do is connect them to the VA. If we can, if they want to be connected, we will connect them to the VA so we can get them in VA services. This one's going to be difficult because I was going to stop this video at a certain point because it's kind of long.
You can just say stop and I'll stop it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome.
Again, this is pretty awkward, but thank you, Justine. I appreciate your help.
Welcome.
This video, is about community collaboration, and it's so important to us to work with our community partners because we know we can't do this alone. We can't work with just the VA, and we can't work with just veterans, Alston Wilkes. We can't work with just like the VFWs. We have to include every person that's on this call needs to be included in what we're doing, because all of you guys know veterans, you work with veterans, your neighbors are veterans, you have veterans in your family. And so we need every single person to be involved in what we're doing. So if you want to start that video, and I'll just kind of say stop when we get to a point, because it's not long, but it's too long for this setting.
Okay, should it be on this page?
No, it's the next page. I'm sorry.
All right, good. I saw Charles.
Yeah.
I saw Charles, but I didn't see another one when I was going through. So it's not the one of Charles talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just can't see it on my screen. I still see some.
There we go.
There
Gotcha.
we go.
Okay, good.
Yep. Can anybody hear the sound on that?
Yeah, no audio, Justine.
All right, let's try something. It always works. Oh, every other time, Teresa.
I know. Well, I can't say anything because I had a bunch of issues at the beginning, so. Well, we can skip it too.
Why don't you keep going and then
Yeah,
I'll
we
look
might
at my
just need-
settings. I'll look at my settings and see how we can figure out.
Okay, that's fine.
How about that? All right, here we go.
All right, so this I wanted to include this in here because this is new. So if you joined us last year, the year before, you did not hear about this. We are one of 80 organizations across the country, and it was a very competitive process, but we were one of 80 to be selected by the VA, National VA, big VA, to be a part of a suicide prevention program. It's a pilot program that just started. This is the first year and it runs 3 years. We're pretty excited. We're very excited, actually. But I like to put his picture on there. And the reason I put his picture on there is because it's so powerful. I mean, he's every 25-year-old that we all know and see. I mean, he's somebody's son, he's somebody's cousin, he's somebody's boyfriend, he's somebody's somebody that we all know. And he's in that picture and he's smiling, and then he dies by suicide at the age of 25. And we don't really know why, right? His family doesn't know why. Nobody knows why. That's the biggest question with suicide. I think everybody on this call, whenever we hear that, the first question we all say is why. Nobody knows the answer to that. And I think for service providers and just people who care in general, it's so important is for us to want to know the why behind things. So the reason we were interested in this program is because we're screening every veteran that we come in contact with that qualifies for VA with a bunch of screenings. And there's many that we've never done before. And so it's a lot on our staff. But we're hoping what it's going to allow us when all organizations compile their data is we're hoping, we know that there's protective factors and we know that there's risk factors. We know that those exist just in life, and they're pretty general. We all know what they are. Having a job is a protective factor, a supportive system. Substance use is a big risk factor. So we all know those things exist. But what we're hoping to find is that we can find some other risk factors potentially that none of us are potentially tracking. Maybe we find out that a lot of these veterans who are actually participants in the program because they are, they have suicidal ideations or they've had them recently. We're hoping to find some risk factors there that we can hone in on, because what we will do at Upstate Warrior Solution is once we go through this program and we get these veterans connected to suicide prevention at the VA, and then we start to really look at the data, that we can maybe start to formulate our programs to focus more on those protective factors and to highlight those risk factors a little bit more, so that when somebody walks through our door 5 years from now, we can automatically go, wait a minute, we need to put a little more focus on that person. Not because we think they're going to be, have a suicidal ideation, but because they're presenting with a risk factor that we need to pay attention to. So we're really excited. We've screened, over 460 to date. And that's since like February that we've screened. And we have 44 active participants that are actually in the program participating, that we've connected to VA suicide prevention. So, I mean, as far as we're concerned, if we can save one life, I mean, we want to save every life, but if we can save one, I mean, that's the cherry on the top. So I think we can just keep going to the next slides. That talks about some of the screens. For those of you who are in that world, will understand what those are. It was a little different for our staff at first. I mean, it's really hard if you think about it, people who aren't in social services, to look in somebody's face and simply ask them, are you going to kill yourself today? I mean, it's just not a normal thing that, people dance around the subject and say all sorts of weird things, and because it's uncomfortable. But we've had to train our staff to just really jump in and get, you have to get rapport with somebody, but we really start to ask those questions. Let's move on to the next one. I wanted to highlight this just because I talked about it briefly. The concept started in 2020, and I'm going to tell you, it kind of started with veterans. I'm for law enforcement, but a lot of veterans were starting to come to us saying, hey, I want to figure out how to help. Particularly at the time, it was law enforcement, but all first responders. How do we help them? Because I know that they're going through the same things that I've gone through. I know they experience some of the same things. I know they have transition issues. So we really started paying a lot more attention in 2020, and we started slowly working with some. And then we just decided in 2022, we said, we're just going to start serving them in our programs. We're going to develop more programs. We're going to have to, because there's no VA. They don't have a big VA that they can go to. When you leave law enforcement, there's no services once you leave. You're just kind of back into the world. So we're trying to figure out how to do some of those services. Next slide. And you can go through these next few slides pretty quickly. But I just wanted to tell people what we were doing in case you work with first responders or you know first responders. We're focusing on peer support for everyday life peer support. We want to expand our efforts, and we really want to focus on retired people who have left police, fire, and EMS, because we know they're in this community and they need to have purpose, just like our veterans do. They need to still be involved. They want to still be involved. So we want to give them that purpose and reason to be involved. Next slide. If any of you guys are hiring and you're in your businesses and you're thinking to yourself, we'd like to hire veterans, we would also like to encourage you to invite us to tell you about first responders as well. Because if you have a 25-year, we just hired Darius Hall. Some of you guys know Darius. He was a deputy for 29 years, captain. But man, he's got some skills and abilities that would be great for some company. He knows the community. He understands crisis. He understands communication. He knows about de-escalation. And there's so many skills that our police, fire, and EMS have, that when we're meeting with businesses and they say we want to hire veterans, we're like, we have, like 130 that are looking for jobs. What about first responders? Are you interested in hiring those? And usually what we get is absolutely. We didn't know that was something, we didn't realize that. So, and then the last one is some legislation that we're working on. It's in committee. So we've got work to do for the next year, but this is for veterans' families. I think a lot of people don't know that. So when a police officer is killed in the line of duty, their family generally loses health care within 30 days. So that becomes very problematic if you're a Megan Jacobs and you're 8 months pregnant, or you're an Albright and Spartanburg and you're pregnant. I mean, it becomes problematic. So a lot of people don't know that happens to first responders, and that's something that we're working at the state level. That's been a big need, working with concerns of police survivors that we've found out that's a pretty common need against the surviving spouses in the state of South Carolina. So it's something that we're working on. I'm hoping this video plays, because this was like the crux of what I wanted you guys to see. But this is so let's move on to the Rupert Hughes Veteran Center. This has been, you guys, my boss has been talking, Charlie Hall has been talking about this for 10 years. 10 years. And when I started working here 8 years ago, he was calling it a clubhouse. He'd talk about clubhouse. We should do a clubhouse. And so we've been hearing that for a while. And then a couple years ago, he said, we're going to do this. We really need a one-stop shop in the upstate of South Carolina that houses a multitude of services for veterans and first responders. Because what we found is when a veteran comes to Upstate Warrior Solution and we say, oh, you need to go to Alston Wilkes now to go get housing assistance, guess what happens between us and Alston Wilkes? Not a lot. They veer off, they turn left, they never make it. And it's really difficult. So his vision was to have a one-stop shop resource center. And as you can see, this is what it is now. If you've driven up 770, we're at 770 Pelham Road. So if you've driven up Pelham Road, you've probably seen those big signs on our building. It used to be a SunTrust building. It's about 40,000 square feet. And Upstate Warrior Solution only resides in about 3,800 of it, maybe 3,900 of it. The rest is partners, businesses. We've got attorneys, we've got accountants, we've got Prisma, we've got licensed professional counselors. SCORE's got an office in here. We've got a lot of people in this building who are ready to serve our veterans and first responders. We have an entrepreneurial shop section upstairs, which is really kind of cool. And it sounds like he's got about 40 people that come to his workshops, but that's for veterans and first responders who have these ideas about, I want to start a business, but I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know where to start. And so they come meet with Jack Sterling, who runs that program, and he kind of helps them through that. And that's in the upstairs. But if we can get this video to play, I'm hoping, what do you think, Justine? Cross our fingers.
I've clicked the button to optimize video sound. Let's see what happens. Come on, video.
This has been about a 10-year work in progress to get the Rupert Hughes Veterans Center open up here at 770 Pelham Road in Greenville. We want this
Sorry, that was my bad.
to be a warm and welcoming place for our veterans, active military, National Guard, Reserve, but also first responders and their families. We're starting to do more outreach. There's a lot of opportunities to come in, to get services, start your business. We are trying to really provide wraparound services to our clients. So when someone gets off active duty, moves back to the Greenville area, and comes into the building with maybe an employment need, we say, hey, time out, we'll talk about the employment later, but tell us about your family, tell us about your transportation, are you connected to VA? One of the amenities in the building for folks that have office space here in the building, but also our veterans in the community, is we've got a 2,000 square foot gym. So we're actually running a CrossFit affiliate out of the gym. It's kind of a social enterprise. So this is a program of Upstate Warrior Solutions. We've got showers, like I said, we've got free coffee, we've got Wi-Fi. So some of the other spaces you'll see in the building, we've got cubicle space and also private offices. Private offices are actually long gone. That waiting list is pretty long, but we've got lots of cubicles where if veterans want to come here and work. Also, folks that live on the east side, if they need a place to get out of the house and work, we want non-veterans to come here as well.
So a couple of neat things that weren't actually shown in that video. So you saw the flag. That flag is my favorite part of the whole building. Sometimes I stand out there and stare at it. But that was flown over the 9/11 memorial. A staff member took it up there and flew it over because that's very important to everybody in this building. Flag obviously is where everything begins and ends for us. So we wanted that to have a kind of a focal point in our building. We have a Hall of Heroes that is just full. We encourage you guys to come over here and take a look. It's full of veterans who are being honored by their family members, and they wanted their picture. Their portrait was drawn by local artists in the Hall of Heroes, and eventually it'll have a little plaque by all of their names. But we encourage you guys to come look at that. You saw the gym. The gym is a nice, physical fitness and mental fitness go hand in hand. And we firmly believe in that at Upstate Warrior Solutions. So we wanted to provide a place where people could also get some physical fitness in as well. If anybody would like to come to the building, it is open. It is open all day long. We have people that will drive by. I will tell you that our increase in traffic for veterans has been really good. It's getting to levels where we're not used to. We've never been used to, but this last couple months we've had about a 50% increase in veteran intakes than what we normally have. And I think they drive by and see the building and stop in. Some think it's the VA. Some come in for things like a VA identity card, which we don't give. But it's a good way to connect with veterans. There's some really cool aspects of the building. There's a map that if you're a veteran, you can put a pin in the wall for your service and where you served. So we'd love, you don't have to be a veteran to come enjoy our building either. Like I said earlier, we cannot do what we do without community involvement, and it takes everybody in the community. It doesn't matter where you work, what your job is, where you reside. We need everybody's involvement in what we're doing. So I think that's all I have. I think one more thing I wanted to say really quick is if you ever want to find out if somebody's a veteran in the space that you guys are working in, it's really important that you ask them if they ever served in the military and not whether or not they're a veteran. We have found through the years that some people don't identify as veterans. Some think, well, I didn't deploy ever. Or, sometimes women will say, I'm not a veteran. You are a veteran if you served in the military. So we have changed our language. And so we ask people if they've ever served in the military as opposed to whether or not they're a veteran. So I put some other slides on there. I didn't want to go over them just for time, but I wanted you guys to see later if she's going to share those. There's some statistics on some interesting facts on veteran suicide. It has gone down a little bit. It's not really the 22 a day anymore per the VA. I will tell you that we really don't have any idea what the number is. I'm just going to be honest with you, because we're not really identifying veterans. It's a really big effort when people die, it's a big effort to figure out if they were a veteran, and whether or not somebody's actually capturing that data is the key. So we know that's not happening all the time. We know it's happening in the upstate because we pushed it and we work with our partners, but we know it's not happening across the state like it should, or even across the country like it should. So that's just some of the stuff I was going to mention there, that it's gone down a little bit per the VA, which is good. Still too high. One is too high. So I'm going to wrap it up with that. And I apologize for the I'm not surprised because it's Teresa Thompson about the issues, the IT issues at the beginning, but I appreciate Justine for jumping in and available to answer any questions anybody has about the building or about our program or how you can get involved. I see several people on here that we're already involved with. Jessica Varney, your face keeps popping up to me. So she's been very active. I've seen some CAB members. Paulette Dunn's on here. She's one of our really good partners with SCDVA. And Mayor Roberts, he's on our Community Action Board in Anderson, which we really appreciate his time and effort. So does anybody have any questions? I know I talked awfully fast. Oh, somebody just asked me. We are not open on weekends. We are open right now from, our hours were 7 to 7, but we have scaled them back because we've noticed that after 5, we just don't get a lot of traffic in here. So right now it's really about 8 to 6-ish, but we have a front desk guy, which you guys will love, Frank. He's a Marine, super interactive, and he's super high energy. And if you walk in that front door, he will be asking you what he can do for you and where he can take you. So feel free to. And Michael McLean, I forgot to mention you. I see you on here. He's one of our great partners over at the Phoenix Center. So
Great. Angie, do you want to start off?
That was a great presentation, Teresa. I had no idea that facility was there, and all of the various things that you have in there. And I'm really excited to come take a tour of it, because it just really is an amazing looking facility, and you're doing a lot of fantastic work for not only the veterans, but those from the other law enforcement and the EMTs, firefighters, etc. So really appreciate the work that you and your organization are doing for the community and the outreach that you're making. And I appreciated your comment about the fact that, if our companies are looking to hire veterans, getting that word out there. And I know with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, we are definitely always looking to hire veterans. So I'll make sure that we push that message along about your organization down to our HR team out of Columbia.
please do.
Yeah.
Please do. And come by, please come by.
Yes, absolutely. So I think someone did have a question about locations, but Dean did put in the chat the Upstate Warrior Solutions webpage that has the various office locations in there. I didn't know if anyone else just didn't have an opportunity to put anything in the chat that maybe had a question and wanted to come off mute and ask that directly.
And while others are thinking about it, Angie, I will go ahead and ask one to Teresa. I'm curious of two things, Teresa. One is, were there other models of this kind of facility that you guys looked at and kind of used when you were deciding what to put in there? And then second, has there been thought of like because you mentioned, the idea of a clubhouse. Has there been an idea of like a bar, or at least some kind of a place where folks can go and gather, or is that maybe not the kind of thing that you're looking to have in this facility?
So two things. There really is nothing like this in the state, and to be honest, we're not sure that there's anything quite like this in the country. We do have partner organizations like Veteran Bridge Home, who they have a big facility in Charlotte, and so does a partner of ours in Atlanta. But we're structured very different. They are very like phone electronic heavy. And Upstate Warrior Solution is very face-to-face, knee heavy. So our program, and I think that's why we have a lot of, our staff are constantly in the thick of it, because we are very big on getting in front of our veterans face-to-face. Because, we're asking those tough questions about suicide now. You got to be, so there's no other like this in the state. And earlier somebody said, would you please open one in Charleston? And I said, oh boy. I said, please don't tell Charlie all that. No, because there is a need for something like this. The second answer is that we have a cafe that's a coffee bar, and we encourage people to come in there, and people will come back there. We see people back there reading on their computers. There's so much open space in this building that people can use. There's different cubicles that people can use. There is a second floor bar area that we are developing. It's not there yet, but eventually there'll be more social type space. But yes, this is a place for veterans. I mean, there's a place outside my office that they can set their computer on the bar if they wanted to. If they want to work on a resume and didn't have any place, they could just hook up to our Wi-Fi right out here and work on their resume. So yes, thank you for that question.
Awesome.
Don't see any
Well,
others
I think
coming in
with
chat.
that, Angie, we will go ahead and move to the next phase. Teresa, thank you so much. And I see a field trip in our horizon for maybe our Upstate Connect or some event to come over there. So we definitely will be touching base to try to have an opportunity for people to come and see the facility soon. And like I said, I drive by there quite a lot and have not stopped in. So now I am looking forward to going in and checking it out. So
Yes.
Thank you for all you guys
Thank
do and the great work. And just to segue with that too, tomorrow, our Upstate Connect event, you mentioned Jessica Varney is going to be on the National Guard and how to be engaged and plug in with the National Guard. So that is going to be here tomorrow. So we may be a little late, I guess, for Memorial Day, or we're really early for Veterans Day, but it just shows that the work of our veterans is so important throughout the entire year to highlight the great work that's being done here in the Upstate. So again, Teresa, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
And Justine, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Just a little correction. And first I have to say, I'm really sorry if you hear a lot of loud noises. There's construction above us and they're just banging away up there. So apologies. And Jessica, I want to put you on the spot for just a little second. You want to give a little peek into the SC State Guard topic leaders? We're doing a little mini panel tomorrow at our Upstate Connect.
Absolutely. Yes. We'll be talking about the South Carolina State Guard tomorrow. We have quite a few new panelists. I know that the information that has gone out, that was our plan at first, but as things go, we had a change in command at the 2nd Battalion. And so we are now going to have our new commander, Major Brad Bailey, and he has invited a lot of higher ranking individuals in the South Carolina State Guard to come and speak as part of the panel tomorrow. So it will be a wealth of information, a great educational opportunity, so that people can learn about what the State Guard does. We are part of the South Carolina Military Department, but we are not the National Guard. The National Guard can be federalized. South Carolina State Guard is not. We serve within the state of South Carolina and we respond to natural or man-made disasters, and our commander-in-chief's the governor. So it's a really great opportunity for professionals who are looking for more ways to give back to their community and are interested in disaster relief or otherwise serving the community. And that's how I got involved. So I'm really excited about tomorrow and being able to be with everyone who comes to the Upstate Connect.
Thank you so much. I knew it would be fine if I just put you on the spot there. We're really we're really looking forward to it. So let's hear from, we do have our events link in the chat, so you can click on that. If you'd like to find out about upcoming TATT events, including the Connect Tomorrow, you could register, or you could really just show up over here, but you'll need instructions on how to get here. So let's hear from our resource updates. We have the Greenwood Flower Festival has kicked off yesterday with the ladies' luncheon. Riley and I were so honored to be there for that. And so Kelly McWhorter with Discover Greenwood will be talking to us about that for a couple minutes. Kelly? You're muted.
I noticed. Thank goodness we have little prompts that say you're muted. But anyway, it's great to be with everybody today. And yes, this is a busy time in Greenwood, but a fun time. We have had a lot of TV covers this year, and I'm really excited about that. We were on YFF yesterday and Your Carolina this morning, and I believe we're going to have Fox here tomorrow morning. And then tonight, I just found out while we were on this call that somebody from Columbia is coming. So we're getting a lot of press coverage, and I'm grateful for that. There's over 25 events with this festival, so it's hard for me to tell you about every single one of them, but the website is scfestivalflowers.org. I'll put that in the chat if you'd like. And then you can explore a little bit about what all we have offered. Obviously the big showstopper is our topiary display. We have over 50, I think we now have 55 topiaries all across Uptown Greenwood. They are amazing. I've never seen them look this beautiful. They're absolutely stunning. We've had probably 200, 300 people come through here just today to get the maps and to get on their way looking at the topiary. So it's really something to see. And I have good news. You don't have to come right now to see the topiaries. You can come as late as September. And that's a great segue into why you can come as late as September. We are hosting a national symposium through the American Bloom program. We're partnering with Spartanburg and hosting the American Bloom program, which is a community development program. And they are going to be staying at the Marriott in Spartanburg, but coming to Greenwood for a tour and a really nice Southern meal on September 29th. So the topiaries will remain until September 29th. So you've got a little bit of time that you wouldn't normally have. So take a look at the website and plan your day, plan your excursion. Please let me know if you're coming this way, and I'll be glad to help you navigate any way that I can. The other big thing that's coming around the corner, just on the heels of the Festival of Flowers, is our Festival of Discovery. It is July 6th through the 8th, and it is going to be a large time. We have 93 barbecue teams coming in. We'll shut Main Street down for about 48 hours. There's blues acts. There's 19 blues bands coming in from all over, as far up as New York, down to Florida, and everywhere in between. They all perform at different venues. We have 13 venues in the Uptown area that will host these bands. That part is free. So if you enjoy blues music, you've got to come down here. This is some of the finest entertainment you would ever enjoy. And the artists are second to none. Some have gone on to do really, really great things. So that is coming up next for us. And in the interim, we'll have a couple of little fireworks celebrations, just like everybody else. But the one that makes ours special is it's over Lake Greenwood. It's called Lights on the Lake. And it is the Saturday before July the 4th. I think that makes it the 1st. So if you have a boat, or if you don't, you can go to Camp Fellowship and watch the display from land. But it is a big time. We have over 1,500 boats on the water that evening, and it's something to see. So lots going on. Away from the festival and events area, Discover Greenwood just kicked off a new program that I wanted to share with you. It's called Let's Discover Greenwood, and we are training ambassadors. We are training people to tell others about what all there is to do in Greenwood with a one-day session. They start with a presentation and they end with a bus tour of Greenwood County. The main goal is to educate and train our frontline hospitality staff But it turns out this has been more popular, not just with them, but also with our newcomers, our newly retired folks. It has really reached a lot of people, and we're only in our 3rd month. So if you want to hear more about it, let me know. I'll send you some information. Again, this is part of the recovery plan from the ARPA funds that we received, and I think we're putting this to a very good use in helping train our frontline staff. So other than that, we're just rocking along over here in Greenwood. We love to see each of you here.
Thanks, Kelly. We are looking forward to coming down again.
Thank you.
Always so friendly and nice in Greenwood. All right, thanks, Riley. Riley put up Kelly's information, so if anyone wants to reach out to her.
Thank you.
All righty. Up next is Melissa Cheek with the Goodwill Mission Mobile. Melissa, I think I saw you.
Hi, I had to get myself off mute for a second myself. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me join you today. It was a pleasure that you all invited me. I just want to take some minutes of your time and talk about Goodwill's newest adventure, and it is our Mission Mobile. I do have a little bit of a PowerPoint. So Teresa, I'm kind of on your same side. I hope mine works a little better than yours. And I don't have a backup person to help me. So hopefully it works just a little bit better. I did test it out. So we'll just go from here. So let me see if I can get that up and share it. So how do okay, let's go ahead and share my screen. And I want to do this one. And let's see, can everyone see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
So awesome, perfect. So basically with our Mission Mobile, we are basically trying to get out into the community. So part of our objectives is to give access to services to underserved and unserved communities, rural communities, any communities that are in our 16 county footprint. We would love to come and take part in your activities, your events, whatever it might be, to get the Goodwill mission out so that we can provide Goodwill services to your community. We also offer on-site services for employers and partner agencies, community agencies. We do all kinds of events. We just were at a car show a few weeks ago. We do things with Head Start, with school starting. So we really are trying to get our foot into the door. And right now, my philosophy is we're not going to say no to anything. We're going to try to make yes as much as possible. We also are trying to look at some data. We're trying to look at how many people we've served, placed into employment, our wages, and what type of hours they're getting as well. And if you aren't familiar, but Goodwill also has a beaucoup of services that we provide to our 16 counties. We have services for youth, we have services for seniors, we have services all in between for ex-offenders, anything you think of, we really have services. So also one of our main focuses with the mobile mission is not only to provide the employment needs to the community, but also to ensure that our programs are being offered and are made aware to all the community as well. So with that, like I did say, we do serve 16 counties. So right now it is myself and another individual, her name is Tamika, and we are the two that run the Mission Mobile. So it's just the two of us. We cover 16 counties, we go everywhere. So if you want us to come to your county, we can come to you. We are in a 30-foot bus. So when we talk about the Mission Mobile, this is kind of what we have. It's kind of a little picture of what we have right there. But it is a 30-foot bus that we have renovated. It has been on the road for about a year. This kind of gives an example of some of our awareness that we do. So we do employment leads, referrals, anything that you can think of that is getting our community aware to what Goodwill Services does. Because most people are only thinking of Goodwill as the retail side, which is great. We appreciate all of your donations and everyone shopping, because all of those proceeds, or I should say 96% of those, of every dollar goes back into our services. So you're actually funding our Mission Mobile and all the services that we have to offer to your community. So like I said, it is a 30-foot bus. So here's kind of a look inside of it. We do have computers. We have 8 computers that we're able to use. It is Wi-Fi hooked up. We have air conditioning. We have heating and cooling. We can come to any site. We have our own Wi-Fi, like I said. We have the computers. We can do anything from career fairs to job fairs to job readiness programs. We can do onboarding. Currently, we were at an event this morning with one of our partners in Lyman, where we do all their onboarding for a temp agency. We do all of their paperwork, so that kind of relieves some of the stress in the office. We've also gone to adult eds and worked with classes on getting their resumes built, making sure they have appropriate interview skills, even appropriate attire for interviews. So we're really trying to ensure that whatever services the community is needing, that our Mission Mobile is able to serve those areas and that community with those needs. Let me see. So as of right now, here's kind of our scorecard that we kind of keep up on date. So we have actually had, this is as of last week, this is a little old, but we have actually had 25 events since we have started. So we're about halfway to our goal to this fiscal year. We've had a total of 52 events so far as well. And as of last week, we served over 260 people since we started this back in May of last year. We've enrolled 50 people, and our average wage, as you see, is way above our goal. Our goal is $15 per person, and we're actually getting people wages at $17.30 with an average hours of basically full-time, 39 hours. So this is really our main focus, is really trying to get our services out to the community so that we can provide those employment needs and gaps to the community and to the employers as well. Here's just a kind of a little brief picture. This is the actual mobile that we have. This is a survey that we provide when they come onto our bus each time. On the bottom, I do have our information. Just about how to access us, how to reserve us for any events. We currently are looking into September, October right now. We're already booked basically for the summer. We do look about 2 months to 3 months out. But we are ready and willing to hit the road and come to your community and to provide your area and your community and your participants with any services that you feel that they may need. So that is the Mission Mobile.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. That looks like a great initiative for you and a big job traveling around a lot.
Yeah, it is. We, like I said, we were at an event this morning. We did one from 10 to 2 this morning at a staffing agency. We generally do our events Tuesday through Thursday, but we are available Monday through Friday and even some weekends if you have events that you feel would be beneficial to the community.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, it does it for our resource updates. I did just pop a link in for our July 13 TATT chat. We'll have Jenny Boulware. I don't want to steal your thunder, Angie. Jenny Boulware with Main Street, South Carolina, talking about Main Street's redevelopment, and it will be super interesting. So make sure to register. And unless Dean has anything else, I'll pass it back to Angie Gossett.
No, I'm done.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm sure that everyone just filled up your calendars with exciting things to go do, taking tours, heading down to Greenwood, and working with Melissa and her team to kind of work with the mobile unit there too. I saw some messages come through there from some various folks trying to link in with each other and make sure that we're communicating and helping everyone in the upstate to get what they need and have all those needs met. So thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Angie. Bye, everybody.